Beals here with no nonsense, cause you can't make sense if you don't make sense. A pod with freestyle discussion, poetry and social deconstruction.
October 13th, 2014, episode 2 of the No Nonsense Podcast. I'm your host, Burn, with my co-host, Burn. He means Beals. This is No Nonsense Podcast once again. So, Beals, why don't you get the discussion going for us today?
I want to talk about the electric car and how when you see advertisements for the electric car, you do notice that you never do actually see a full-fledged mother. You see half-mothers, stepmothers, and you see grandmothers, but you never see a real mother that actually is advertised with the electric car advertisement. I want to say what that says about mothers.
Maybe that's because the philosopher John Rawls once said that all mothers originate from Ethiopia, and that's the only place they ever come from. So maybe they're all contained in that self-contained unit, and then when they go around the barn in concentric circles, then they come back to where they started.
Right, but see, the problem is all the strife and anti-religious sentimentism that's pragmatic inside of the confines of Ethiopia. So if you don't go to Ethiopia, you're not going to be able to get a mom. And if you don't get the mother will not bear child or bear false witness.
Now, have we ever looked into possibly chickens doing all the child rearing for us in this society? Why can't we just lay that burden on them, for God's sakes? I mean, why leave it on humans?
Clearly, that's a pretty ignorant comment because we all know chickens are just meal that you can get at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you say McDonald's is at the forefront of like the most romantic restaurants that you can eat at in the 21st century?
I say without a doubt, hands down, McDonald's is the foremost romantic restaurant in the United States, period.
Now, are you also allowed to do math problems there?
You can do meth anywhere you want.
Even in Nebraska City?
Well, Nebraska City actually is the exception to the rule there, Ken. I'm glad you brought that up. Because as we see with the siege that we see over in East Ethiopia, that you don't really allow for that kind of romanticism to happen inside the confines of Nebraska City. They can't do that because they all defaulted on their back mortgage-based prime sub loans. And so it becomes more of an economical thing and less of a motherhood rear-end bringing state of desirable economical states.
Now, do you think, is birth a new thing in the past 20 years, or has that been going on since the Earth has been around? I mean, is that something invented by Microsoft or not?
Actually,
is that a Microsoft invention?
Actually, you know what? Microsoft does credit that to Henry Ford back in the assembly line days. Children were coming in from storks, and then they were assigned a mother, and they were put on the assembly line, and then they were given the mother and the number. And actually, if you were to look on the inside of your neck, if you were to cut the back of your neck, you will find on the inside flap of your skin there is a code number, and that is actually your number.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we're driving while recording this podcast, and somebody up front almost swerved into a stork. Anyways, resuming the pod. What would you say is the best? Switching gears here. What would you say is the best NFL player to ever play in rugby?
I would obviously say that answer is pretty quite clear and obvious. It's Terry Bradshaw's mother. Terry Bradshaw's mother was probably the strongest and most athletic athlete in all of athletics. What she did boast was a combined loss of hair and anti-aging cream. So she had the anti-aging cream, but was still continuing to lose her hair. But still, when she threw that touchdown pass in 1987, that garnered the first World Cup, no one can argue that she still goes down as the strongest female mother athlete the world has seen.
Well, I was doing my research this morning, and I came to find out some people were saying that the NFL didn't actually start till 2003. Is that accurate?
John, I'm gonna have to look into my records on that one, but I think you may be accurate in your prediction there.
Do you need to check your medical records?
Let me call my doctor. I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks, but I will confirm the origins of the National Football Organization.
All right. That'll be on the next pod. Continuing on, there has been a huge drought of bridges in the tri-state area. We really don't know how to fix this problem other than teen murder. And the only way that we're going to be able to fix this problem appropriately is if we manipulate the media to have teenagers murder more people and use their dead bodies to build the bridges. So I'm just trying to figure out what the best media tactics are to manipulate these teenagers into killing each other.
I think the answer is pretty easy and clear there, Ken. I think what we need to do is manipulate the mothers first, because the mothers will indeed be able to inform the children of the new state of mind that we will need to be bearing. Because as one's driving and there's a cliff above head, if there's not dead children who are willing to take the burden of your car going across, you're going to end up in a ditch. And I think that without this device, we're going to see a lot more murders in the United States and deaths in general.
And how else to prevent death other than massive death? I think that the best
Which
way,
I think is a quote from Adolf Hitler as well.
What you want to do is you want to be able to kill only 1,000 people to save one person.
Yeah, and if that one person can potentially give birth to 1,000 people, like a mother would, then it offsets anything in general. So I don't think I see any problem in the near future.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that sort of thing. And so I think the tri-state area can look forward to a healthy amount of bridges being built. And our hero, Bill O'Reilly, will probably start a media manipulation campaign to initiate the teenage massacres. And I mean, it's only in the nation's best interest. So I think that is it for the first pod, and we forgot our poem. So, Beals, will you leave us with one poem to conclude today? Is there any 17th century stuff you got?
Yes, I do. I have one right from 1609. It is written by John Locke, and it goes like this. Oh man, I have no one to come with me to the prom. Who am I going to bring? Oh yes, my dad's mom.
That was a poem by John Locke. Thank you, everybody, on the No Nonsense Podcast. This is Beals and Burn signing off.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Hope you got some insight and a few laughs. That's all for now, folks. Yes, goodbye. Till next time, as long as we don't die.